Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Chain. So, I want to cover a few things when it comes to narratives and overall potential sell strategies in this market because, we are in the midst of the literal bull run right now. Obviously, this is well known, but we got Bitcoin still holding after a major pump, over the last month here. Almost at 102K. If you guys saw my video or my last video or two, I was actually getting worried that we were going to potentially start dropping here and having a more significant correction, but excuse me. But as of right now, it looks a lot better on the chart, which I was going to just show you real quick because we still got Bitcoin, making some bullish momentum on the charts. Even here, obviously we had this pump up here to hit 103 or 104 almost. Huge dump, and then price tried to keep going, tried again, failed. This is where price was starting to get potentially a little bit shaky, but we had really good strength coming out of that to get this back on track, and price has still been holding here. So overall, I actually think this still looks very bullish in the short term to at least have another attempt at an all-time high here. Because my main worry before was, looking at an RSI on like a high time frame, the momentum on Bitcoin is very much so just up only. But it's very clear that the RSI is showing us down. And usually the RSI, at some point in time, not every single time, but fairly often, is going to show us the right direction in which price will eventually move to. What that means is the RSI is showing us at some point, if this were to play out and it was going to be correct, again, not every indicator is ever going to be 100%. If it plays out correctly, though, this is kind of saying that at some point Bitcoin might actually start failing here and going into some sort of dip or something like that. And I'm not saying, again, this is not a top signal. This is not saying that, within 2 days crypto's over, like nothing like that. But that's what I was worried about, but it seems like we're still grinding up from here. So this is going to be something day by day to pay attention to, but lately though, I've been very open to researching different narratives that I'm not normally researching. Because if you guys have seen my channel too in the past, I've mainly lately been focusing on meme coins and AI, almost specifically just those two narratives. But we're actually seeing, a lot of DeFi. DeFi has been some of the best performing over the last 3 months, which is really interesting because, I don't really even pay attention to too many DeFi coins at all right now. But, most of the time data is not going to lie, right? And we've seen a lot of DeFi projects, if you even just go on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, stuff like that, a lot of DeFi projects had some really nice moves, with Trump being in office. I think it's just going to continue for DeFi. We also had privacy, which is pretty interesting. And of course, still a lot of memes and AI still doing pretty well. Yeah, RWA has been an underperformer though, which is shocking. I still think this has a ton of potential. But, at some point I guarantee this will have its own narrative pump. At some point it's going to go crazy with RWAs. But either way, even if we look at year to date, certain narratives. Oh, I was going to say I kind of froze. Year to date though, RWA is up here. Memes, derivatives, privacy, DeSci. You look at a lot of these and you probably never even think about it, right? So it's definitely very, it's probably a good thing, if that's a better way to put it, to be focusing on many different narratives and even just having a coin or two in different narratives. You can obviously do whatever you guys like when it comes to certain altcoins, but if you guys are big fans of everything from DeFi, gaming, to AI, meme coins, Whatever like the combination that you like, if you guys find some really strong fundamental projects, I would definitely continue to recommend, maybe finding a coin or two within each narrative so you are, kind of prepared for at whatever point in time we really do skyrocket or altcoins really skyrocket, that you kind of have some exposure within that narrative so your coins are going to start moving. Because even for me, I'm very exposed mainly to meme coins and AI. I have a little bit of gaming, but other than that, I don't have too much else in my portfolio. But like I said, I think if you have some, coins that you like in different narratives, it's definitely a good thing to be spread out between narratives and even across different chains as well. That's just the cycle that we're in. I think everyone at this point in the cycle is, if you look at your Google Chrome extensions, you probably got 25 different wallets up there. Or on your phone, you probably have an entire tab that you can swipe left and right on, with 10, 20 different crypto wallets, right? It's just nuts. Like, this is like the cycle that we're in, just full rotations to cross-chain everything. There's just new layer 1s, layer 2s coming up every day. But outside of that, I want to cover a little bit about, exit strategy and what I'm paying attention to, and even to when I really want to be fully exiting this market, and kind of just my, my overall approach and how I'm looking at it going forward. So I think number one is still, I think, the biggest thing that I'm waiting for to really start scaling out of many positions would be, one, I want to see Ethereum and Solana well into new all-time highs. Both coins here have not actually made new all-time highs yet. Solana price-wise is still 220. Its previous high was what, 260? Somewhere around there. I am still expecting Solana, at the minimum, to go well into, $300 to $400 at some point. I'm not trying to be a moon boy in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to tell you that Sol is going to $1,000, $2,000, because, the likelihood of that is a lot smaller. But, to consider it as an X, a couple X's left to go, is a very safe, strong bet. Basically, you're just betting on the next major leg up across the board. And that is, I think, a great place to start look for profits and take profits. You don't have to sell everything you own. You can start taking a little bit out. You can sell half. But I'll get into all that in a minute. But even with ETH, though, so Ethereum is still, from its local highs of this cycle so far. Yeah. Excuse me. Oh my God. We're still not even past 4K. Like, that's nuts. ETH is just very slow this cycle. But I think once it starts and really gets cranking here, I don't know how much resistance we're actually going to have once it goes right around its previous all-time high, just under 5K. I think it actually might breeze through it. And I think once it breaks through, then it might have a retest, a little bit above 5K. A little bit of a bounce down until we, chop and go up. But same thing with ETH. I know people have seen on Twitter calling for a, 10K, 20K ETH, I think are absolutely nuts. And again, if price somehow gets there, I'm not going to complain. We all win, right? If price actually gets there, but I want to be a lot more realistic with targets and taking profits, guys. This is one of the most important things in crypto, is learning to take profits, and knowing when to take profits, because no one actually knows when to sell. It is incredibly hard to ever time. But the main idea is that you want to find an area where it may start to look like the beginning of the end. And when I say that, is a great place to start looking for that potential exit zone would be when? when these major assets are well into their all-time highs and they are on god pumps, right? When Ethereum looks like this and it's just going up only, right? This is going to be somewhere to start paying attention to ETH and then also the altcoins underneath it. Because, if ETH might go to 7, 8K, right, in the next month, but some altcoins might also be lagging. So yes, ETH is going to run, then the altcoins are going to run right after because ETH has had this god pump, right? This span of time now when ETH is sitting up here and alts are starting to moon, they're probably going to do huge numbers. And that is going to be a time when you need to start paying attention to actually selling. Because I know a lot of people too, if you're new to crypto, as in literally in the last 3 or 4 months, I don't want to tell you that you're very late to the game right now, but you have to understand that most people that have been in this market since the bottom, since, the bear market, a lot of us are looking to start taking profits over the next few months here, well into next year. You may think that, the cycle is just beginning, but it's closer to the end than it is the beginning, And when I say the end, I don't mean in 2 weeks and a month from now. We still probably have a full year of bull market / on and off up only. So just take that with a grain of salt with what I'm saying. But especially, like I said, if you are new, keep this in mind. Because I don't want you to feel like you're early. At the same time, though, altcoins, many altcoins are literally sitting at bottom levels. So at the same time, maybe you are early for a lot of alts right now. But as far as majors, and how much gas they have left in the tank, I think is a lot different than, if we were back in mid-2023, right? So just keep that in mind. But that is one of the biggest things that I'm personally watching and waiting for before I even, think about selling 80, 90, 95% of my crypto, right? I still want to be in this market no matter what until we get to a very overbought area across the board for altcoins. But once we start to see these narrative pumps, guys, across the board, that's going to be the end of it as far as for altcoin pumps for the time being. It probably won't be the end of the cycle. But once that day finally comes where we're seeing massive gains across the board in different narratives for altcoins, that's going to be a major day to start paying attention to sell a major chunk of everything you own. And mainly it's going to depend on what narrative is pumping and if your coin is pumping within that narrative at that current time frame. That's when you want to sell. I'm trying to find the Bitcoin dominance chart here, right here. Because yeah, honestly, it looks like, alt season may still be well on its way. It's basically, if you look at the Bitcoin dominance here, the Bitcoin dominance is a big factor of, kind of showing us when money flow is rotating from Bitcoin into majors or into altcoins. And it's showing pretty good signs that, it's dumped, obviously from mid-November into December, kind of retested a previous high time frame level. But let me see if I can pull the level up. So while that loads, retested, it's kind of bouncing again. So it's going to depend on, is this going to be a double retest, triple before it just goes down like this? Because if we see price do this and dump like that, like crazy, that is also going to be a really good thing to pay attention to for when to start looking to sell, guys. I think once this really starts dumping, though, I do think easily we're going to be seeing at least under 48, in between 40% to 45%, I think is going to be a very good target. Basically, the previous bull run area. I think a lot of people are literally predicting it's going to go well underneath it. That's something I don't know because I think a lot of people, especially institutions right now that are buying Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin's going to be volatile, but I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are only buying Bitcoin to buy Bitcoin. They're not buying it to make a profit, to rotate it into ETH, to then rotate it into these risky altcoins, right? So I really do not know how hard Bitcoin dominance is going to dump. But like I said, I think easily at a minimum, within this trend line, well underneath 48%, in between 40 to 48%, like this general range is going to be hit at some point at a minimum. So if you're even just looking for a set number, like, okay, I want to see Ethereum at 6K, Solana at $400. I want to see Bitcoin dominance, sitting at 43%, 44%, potential just signals to look to potentially start selling. In 4, I want to see narratives start pumping. Like, okay, ETH is at 6K, but did AI coins start having that giga pump yet? If they didn't, then continue to wait until they do. Basically, that is my full exit strategy. Kind of just put in here in a nutshell. But, when it comes down to it even further, though, having real set price targets, market cap targets for each individual altcoin that you have is also going to be very important. Making sure that, yes, sometimes coins, your full out exit targets, maybe it's a 5x from here, a 10x. But sometimes, those altcoins that you just got a 10x gain off of will end up pulling a 35x, 40x. Sometimes depending on how you sell, how you're structuring it though, you still should be pretty happy with making and keeping major gains, even if it is a 10x on a play with size, right? But what you could even do is just mess around with how you want to exit coins, because there's multiple ways to do it. For me personally, the way that I do it is I kind of have market cap targets, and once I hit that, I usually will sell 100% of my bag, maybe 95. But I know a lot of people that, if you're holding coins and you're holding, conviction plays, you kind of scale out every couple X's that you go up. If you make a 3X on a coin, on a major long-term hold, you take out, 20%, 30% of your position, right? Then let it go up another 100, 150%, take out another 20%. So as it goes up, you scale out. That's also another good sell strategy. And I'm talking about, coins that you've been holding for a while that are big bags of yours. I'm not talking about degen plays, that you're throwing half a soul into, or like a soul into, looking for a 10 to 20x. Kind of different. But I mean, while we're on exit strategy, I guess you can kind of use that. I'll give you guys a simple example of what I've been doing a lot lately when it comes to exiting or entering and exiting I'll just say pictures, memes. So for example, a good exit strategy that I've been executing personally, is if you get into a coin, let's say you got into this Citadel, Griffin hedge fund, right? Which, I saw this, but I didn't buy this. Let's say you got in at, 1.5 million, right? So obviously you're waiting, you don't know if it's going to go up. But now, so you start seeing it go up. So now, if you just watch the color here, 2.8, 3. Oh, it just hit a God candle for now, right? So now you're up, 15, hold on, 1.5. 15, 30, 45. So that's about almost a 4x right there. So what you can do is if you make a couple of good X's on a coin, every time you start to look to sell half of your position. So if you make a 3 to 4x, and it's a clean, solid, few SOL that you made, whether you made 10 SOL, 50 SOL, whatever it was. Sell a good chunk of your position. Usually you can sell half. Let it play out, let it keep going. Oh, you see it pumped again. Okay, well now you have 50% of your position left. But now that 50% that you sold, the 50% left has now almost doubled. So now that 50% you had is probably worth what, 75 to 80% of that portfolio. Sell half of it again. So now you're selling about, from your initial thing here, you're selling half and then you're selling half, but you're still selling a similar amount because the price keeps going up. And depending on how, what price does, maybe you start to you sell another half of it here. So now you're down to basically like 25% of your bag left because you're like, okay, well, it looks like it's going to keep going. I want to secure a lot of these profits. And then it dumps, does this, does whatever, and let's say, and it does this, right? It goes back down, you sell the rest. Something like this is actually a very good sell strategy. You can execute this literally on a minute time frame. This is something I've been doing, and again, this is not a trade I took. This is just an example. But, selling half every couple X's that price goes up, is a very good way to secure a lot of profits along the way as it's going. Especially if, like I said, if you get into a coin like this and you're patient and you finally see it start to go up, and at some point it's probably going to have a big correction, but you want to secure some gains. Like I said, sell a good portion, sell 25%, half of it at the time, and let the rest ride. If it continues to go up again, and let's say from where you sold it at, it doubles, sell half again. Because as it continues to go up, you can still just pull profits out of it. That's something I've been focusing on, and I think it's a pretty good strategy to, implement as, if you guys are degenning all the time. But outside of that, that's something I just wanted to talk about in this video, from just exit strategies when it comes to, mainly just a lot of alts and looking at majors. But outside of that, I appreciate you guys watching. I still got a couple videos coming, so be on the lookout for those very soon. I appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.